We got Ben Askren back here on the program. He's going to be boxing Jake Paul next Saturday for Triller. Ben, how's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty well. Having a good day.
Good to hear. What does your day look like so far? I know you were telling me you got home a little bit later than you expected.
Yeah, I woke up. I got my kids ready for school. I did a podcast. Went up and worked out. Did some PT. And then met my wife for lunch and checked out a very interesting property. And that was I got behind schedule early in the day, unfortunately, and that kept everything behind.
Well, you're still getting more done than most people. You mentioned your wife. I got to start here. That Rocky video you did, man, that was phenomenal. Who filmed that, and whose idea was that?
So it was my idea. I woke up that morning and we didn't have too much going on that day, and there had been like a whole bunch of days of snow in a row. And I don't know what made me think of it, but I just thought of it. And my vlog guy John was in town, and I said, "Hey John, let's do this." And boom, we did it. Yeah, I mean, John's pretty tremendous. He does quite a good job, and most people who saw it thought that there were multiple camera people and some type of team, but it was just me and John. I was most pissed at him because the hill in the back of my house is uber steep, and this son of a bitch made me run it like 3.5 times, and that snow was like 18 inches deep, so it was kind of tough. And
I think underrated in that video, your wife's acting skills. I thought she played the role quite well.
I mean, it's really funny because it's hard to picture how bad the conversations really were in Rocky IV, but you watch it, you're like, no, that was it. We literally stole it directly from that. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Let's talk about your fight. I know you saw my tweet last week that you are now the betting favorite in the boxing fight. Were you surprised by that? And do you think that had anything to do with the presser when people thought you sort of came out on top in that one?
Well, I mean, I obviously came out on top of the presser. The presser is not boxing. So I was very surprised that it swayed people's intuition on what they were going to bet, right? Because they're probably not a gigantic correlation. I mean, obviously Jake's very insecure, and I make him very nervous. And Jake knows if we in real life, if we were like in a fight, I would just kill him, like I said. Not that I do that to people. I don't fight outside of getting paid for fighting. Yeah. So I mean, obviously there's some insecurity and there was some fear on his part, and he kind of didn't know. It's kind of big brothered him a little bit. And he didn't know how to act. But I am surprised they moved the betting lines that much.
Yeah, and that's the people obviously betting on you. That's not, they set the lines, and then it's the public who bets and everything. Because some people don't know that. They're like, oh, it's the odds makers. They have no idea what they're doing. It's like, no, that's the whole point, is that you bet. Anyways, Masvidal obviously did the phone call. Do you think that's Jake bringing George in, or that's George trying to be, still keep himself with this whole, fight that you guys had a couple of years ago?
I think either way, it's bad. I mean, just like people aren't digging it whatsoever. He just looks like a dope. He really, really, really does. And so, yeah, I don't know what he's doing. I don't get it. I think it's annoying. I have no issue with the fact that I got beat by a knee. And hey, that's part of my life. I live it. I'm not embarrassed of it. I'm not ashamed like Jake is that he got beat up by his little brother. By his big brother. I mean, it's just, hey, that's part of life.
In terms of your training camp, I've been kind of following along on social media. I've been watching the vlogs on the Rockfin channel. I know Mike Biggie Rhodes is a big part of it. The UFC vet, he's been helping you out. I know you've been training with Freddie Roach as well. Have you sort of I imagine you just structured things, a bit back home and then did a bit out in, looked like in Vegas and California, right?
Yeah. I mean, so when I decided to box, it was like, okay, well, what am I going to do here? And obviously I got a few people to come in. So I had my old boxing coach from Arizona come in when I was in Vegas. I got to work with Freddie Roach. I got to work with this guy, K9, Cornelius Bundridge, who was a couple-time world champion. But then I just needed someone. I knew I didn't want to pay a boxing trainer, a large percentage to come be with me. So it was like, I worked out something with Mike where, he would feel adequately compensated. And he was with me most of the time, but then we would work in different partners and different coaches, and it was turned out to be really good. I've gotten so much better in the last 10, 11 weeks. I've gotten so much better. It's been a lot of fun, and kind of coming into the home stretch now.
How did you end up linking up with Freddie Roach? What was the connection there?
Dana connected it.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. And I was going to say, it's kind of interesting how this is all unfolded, right? With Dana now betting on you in this fight. And you know, because when you were with the UFC, I think we can both agree, I don't think you were treated very, very fairly. Do you agree with that?
I don't know about, no, I would disagree. I would say I was treated fairly. I would not say Dana and I had the best relationship, or I wouldn't say that we were close or friendly. I wouldn't say those things, but I think I was treated adequately. I mean, really, dollars and cents is what makes sense to the UFC. And I mean, I don't think they could have predicted that Masvidal's upset over me would have turned him into the superstar that he became. But he wasn't a needle mover to that point. And people can disagree. Fuck you. Go back and look at the numbers. I'm right. You're wrong. But if I would have won that fight, I would have been, a top 5 star in the UFC for sure. So I think, they probably actually wanted me to win that fight. And, they know I move numbers, and that's kind of what they like. And but Dana becoming my friend after all this has been very interesting. And, whatever. Like, I don't hold grudges. So the fact that he held me out of the UFC back in 2013 when I was trying to make the transition, whatever. Listen, that happened. It's done. It's over with. I appreciate his help and hooking me up with Freddie. Freddie's been great. And then obviously I got to use the PI and stuff, even though I'm not really in the UFC anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's kind of neat. So did Dana call you? Like, how did you guys link up?
Yeah, he called me one day. Really, because I went through Hunter Campbell, when they were starting to hit me up because I had to get permission. And I was actually getting in the shower one day, and Dana called. I'm like, oh shit! Like, is he gonna tell me?
You're probably thinking you can't box Jake Paul, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking? Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of already did this deal. Like, is he gonna tell me I'm out or something? And then he's like, oh, kick his ass, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, okay, sweet, this is cool. Let's do it.
Nice. Okay. So how long did you spend with Freddie when you were out there training with him?
I was there for a week.
Okay. Nice. So that's good. Any, I'm sure he didn't come by, but did you talk to Manny Pacquiao at all? Because obviously he's close with Freddie.
I don't think he was there at that point.
Okay. Gotcha. Any cool stories from working with Freddie? I mean, we're talking about one of the boxing legend coaches in the game.
Yeah, just that. He was just a pleasure to be around every single day. He's a legend, and man, just totally enjoyed my time out there.
Tony Ferguson wasn't there when you were there, right?
He was, yeah.
Oh, he was? Okay, what was that like, getting to hang out with T-Ferg?
It was interesting. I mean, it's kind of everything I expected it to be.
Does he like you? Because you guys kind of seem like opposites, and to a certain degree.
I don't get a lot. I mean, we weren't there for. It's not like we went out to dinner and stuff, but yeah, we chatted it up while we were there. He seemed really cool, and yeah, everything's good. You
didn't train with Tony, did you, when you were down there, or no?
Not train with Tony, no.
No, because his training's a bit different, right? I think everyone can agree with that. A little bit.
I did not see. So both times I was in there, Tony was kind of riding the bike, and I don't know if he had just finished training or was going to train in the future. Not really sure.
Did you study any tape on Jake Paul, or is that something that your coaches do in terms of the preparation for the matchup?
I mean, I watched his fights. I just don't think there's a whole lot to take from it because the guys were so bad. So yeah, I don't think there's a ton to. I don't think there's a ton to take from what he did. What he's done in those last couple fights.
What do you say to those critics who say that he's a lot bigger than you? I mean, we saw in the presser last week. He's a little bit taller, but he's not like a giant. People are making it out like it was a huge size discrepancy. I don't think that's really the case, at least from what I saw.
I don't know how big he really is. I mean, the weight class is 190 pounds. I don't think I've ever done anything at 190 pounds. You're right. I fight at 170. My college weight was 174. My international wrestling was 163. But it was like, hey, listen, I'm going to fight a YouTuber. I'm not going to bitch about a couple pounds. Either I'm going to fight him or I'm not going to fight him. It's really that simple. So, he's probably got a decent size advantage on me. But, I was also very heavy after my hip surgery. I literally couldn't do any, 3 months of nothing whatsoever. And so I was very, very heavy. And so it's like, I couldn't have made 170 if someone had asked me to do that.
Well, you also fought at 185 and won championship, right? So it's not like it's completely out of your realm, right?
Well, it's 185 with no water weight cut.
Right. Okay.
So it's, so I would say my size was almost the exact same whether I was making that weight class or whether I was making 170 pounds.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Training partners, who did you get to work with for this sort of combined camp with, both with Freddie Roach and back home as well?
Yeah, I worked with a lot of different people. Mike was the main person. Yeah, it was good.
Okay, good stuff. And then do you have to cut any weight for this fight, or is it just you sort of walk in there and it's all
I'm
good?
like 4 pounds over right now or something like that this morning.
Who's going to be in your corner for the fight?
Mike and Tyron.
Oh, Tyron Woodley.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Did you get to work with him for this camp? I know obviously he just fought a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he was fighting, exactly. So I hung out with him when I was in LA for a day, but we didn't get to train together at all.
What do you think his next move is? I know obviously he's not back with the UFC. He's a free agent now. Do you see him fighting maybe like a PFL or something, or do you get that sense?
I think that would maybe make sense because they're paying very well. I don't know. I haven't really. We kind of texted back and forth a little bit after his last fight, but I haven't went in depth with him. So I'm sure we'll get to hang out next week and we'll figure it out. Was
there any consideration of having Freddie in your corner for this fight just because he's the man? You know?
I felt like it was too much of a circus. I felt like this is like I'm not trying to be the best boxer in the world. I'm just trying to beat up Jake Paul. And Freddie is just this world-renowned, very respectable person. I didn't want to bring him into the circus. This has been a circus, and I didn't want to bring him into the circus. I feel like he's above that.
How do you see the fight playing out on April 17th?
I think he's going to come out and try to get me out of there quickly, and I think he's going to realize it's not as easy as he thought it was going to be. And then as he wears down, I'm going to start turning it up and up and up and up, and then after a while, he's going to realize he doesn't want to be in there anymore.
Can we take anything away from the fact that you took a Robbie Lawler punch and still came back and won? Do you think that is a factor in this fight?
I mean, I got rocked one time in 11 years of mixed martial arts in training and in 21 bouts, right? I got rocked very literally one time. Now, it was a very bad time to get rocked, but it was still only one time in 11 plus years. So, yes, I do think my chin is good. Not that I want to stick it out there and let him hit it. I mean, obviously I try to be as good as I can defensively, but yeah, I'm pretty secure in that.
Guy we mentioned here earlier, Jorge Masvidal, he's fighting Kamaru Usman. I know you kind of went on Twitter and said that, Usman and Colby would have made a bit more sense in terms of doing the rematch. Were you surprised to see that Masvidal got the fight just after losing the last fight to Usman? I mean, he hasn't fought since.
Yeah, I didn't think it made a whole lot of sense. He hasn't won since the last Usman loss. Colby actually has. But just more than anything is it wasn't competitive. He lost 50-45. I think some people, because they like him, they want to try to remember it differently. But he lost every single round. 2 of those convincing enough that the judges went 10-8. Colby was 2-2 going into the 5th round with Usman, and then he got knocked out.
Who do you see winning, Usman or Masvidal? I think I know your pick, but I got to ask anyways. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously the factor of George could get a knockout, but I think it's probably way more likely that Usman wins.
Do you think the biggest thing in that fight is the wrestling, that Jorge, no matter how long it is, he'll never be up to the standard of wrestling that Usman is, and Usman can always use that in his back pocket, right?
Yes, 100%. That's it.
The other fight that kind of came out of left field, Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards, were you surprised to see that match put together?
Very strange, but and whatever. It doesn't really make sense, but sometimes life doesn't make sense. Leon Edwards did need to get back in there. I don't know why they didn't match him up with Bilal again, because obviously Bilal, he just got a fight against Damian Maia. So it's not like he's going to be out for all that long. So it's like, I don't know why you just don't match those two up again. It kind of makes sense, but they went a different direction. And
last one, McGregor-Poirier 3, the trilogy fight. Who's taking it?
I'm going Poirier again.
Yeah? How does he get it done?
Probably TKO again in round 2 or 3.
What's been the feedback like from the MMA community from your vantage point? Because I've seen it mixed. I've seen a lot of fighters, and they're like Dominic Cruz, guys that are like rooting for you to do well. They want to see you win. And then there's others that are saying, oh, Ben's bad at striking. Like, what have you been, because you're on social media, what have you been sort of feeling from the MMA community leading into this fight?
Yeah, I mean, those are probably the two takes. And I've tried to make it overwhelmingly. I've actually thought about this yesterday, and I probably want to use this as a line. I'll use it in the line now, but he said this is boxing versus MMA, which I don't know who chose him to represent boxing, right? And I don't represent MMA. I represent myself in boxing. But it's like, if he beats me, he's going to say he's a good boxer or something. That's like someone beating James Toney and saying they're a good boxer because they beat James Toney in MMA, right? I mean, remember how bad James Toney was at mixed martial arts, right? He got taken out and choked in like a minute.
Are you going to, if you win this fight, are you going to call out Logan Paul next?
I don't know. Training's hard. I forgot how hard training was. Obviously, I hadn't been able to do it in a year. Mm-hmm. I got a pretty good life. I don't know if I want to train anymore. We'll see.
And I saw another interview, but I want to confirm it anyways. You're done with MMA, right? Unless something crazy would come by, but you still say you're probably done for good?
Yes.
Okay, good to know. We got Kevin Holland fighting this weekend. He's taking that short notice fight against Marvin Vettori. What do you make of his trash talk during the fights? Because some people say it's counterintuitive. Some people say, hey, it's going to get in your opponent's head. What do you think of his antics in his fights?
Yeah, I guess sometimes it works, but it did not seem to work for his last fight against Derek Brunson. And so that's where I know now he has built this character that he likes to put out there. But if the character is counterproductive to his success, I'd let the character go. Whether he'll actually do that or not, because he is fully bought into the gimmick right now, I guess we will see.
Do you see him beating Vettori this Saturday? Vettori's like a huge betting favorite.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know enough about Vettori. I know he had a relatively competitive bout with
Adesanya.
Adesanya, correct? Yeah, a relatively competitive bout with Adesanya. And I think I remember watching that thing. Well, I don't think Adesanya is that good, but maybe it's just the fact that Vettori is really good. I'm looking him up now. Yeah, he's had a good. I mean, yeah, his wins look really good. His Antonio Carlos Jr. That dude's really tough. And besides that, he hasn't lost in quite a while.
The Ultimate Fighter, it's going to be Volkanovski and Ortega. Are you disappointed by that? Will you be watching?
I probably won't watch. But no, those dudes they seem like good dudes. They'll have a fun show, I think.
I wonder though, because with that show, you got to have two really big personalities. I mean, Volkanovski's a pretty clever guy. Ortega, a little bit more passive, That's where I'm kind of like, I don't know how it's going to unfold, Nothing against them. I think they're great fighters, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about them. So they seem like nice guys, seem like cool guys. Maybe to help them get over.
How do you think this John Jones situation plays out? Because now it looks like the UFC's moving on to Derek Lewis.
Not good for John, it looks like. That's it. Doesn't look good for John. I think they're moving on.
Do you think he's overselling himself, like in a way, like wanting all this money? Do you think he should just take it? Like, what would you do? Because, I mean, obviously he is a draw, and that is a huge fight. And he did make a good comparison to boxing, where these guys are getting paid a bit more with similar viewership. What do you think of that? His sort of argument there.
I think it's a compelling argument, obviously, but it makes Martial Arts definitely has a different structure, and maybe they should look at rewarding those high end guys, but they also reward. And maybe not, and maybe that's not reward. Maybe it's unfairly. They pay the bottom and middle tier guys significantly better.
Have you played yourself in the EA Sports video game?
I have not.
No? Okay. Are you getting paid in crypto at all for this fight?
I'm not, but I probably will buy some crypto.
Did you ask them if you could? Because I know like even the NFL players are asking for that.
I don't see the point in that. If I want to buy crypto, I'll buy crypto. I don't need to be paid in it. I don't really see that. I don't see that angle. It's like it's my money, and then right afterwards, I mean, who knows, right? Maybe it goes up. There is a chance it shoots up 20% in a day, or there's a chance it shoots down 20% in a day. So if I cash my check and I want to buy crypto, I will probably buy some crypto.
What are you high on right now? Ethereum seems to be doing very well.
Ethereum, it's the bull market,
sorry.
Right? Ethereum, yeah, it's the bull market. So everything is doing well. Litecoin just went on a heater the last 2 days. It's up like 20%. Bitcoin's been kind of boring. It's kind of been just chugging along right around 60,000. But I think we'll see a large jump from that. I just don't know how soon it's going to be. And I think everything keeps moving up through the end of the year.
Well, one of the things that Martin talked about at Rockfin is the Ray token, which actually has value, whereas opposed to Bitcoin, it's only the value that people perceive it as, right? So do you see sort of some of these other cryptos, maybe taking over eventually just because there is more value with them? Oh,
no. Bitcoin's king.
Yeah, you think so? No matter what, nothing will top it?
Bitcoin is the king, yes. Nothing will top it. I bet there's room for a lot of them. There's different purposes, right? There's going to be a whole bunch of cryptos. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi where I think it's Bitcoin and that's it. I think there's room for a lot of them, and a lot of them have different purposes.
How many fighters hit you up for financial advice or like crypto type stuff? Yeah, plenty.
Not too many.
No, really? I figured more. No, I know Julian Marquez hit you up. I think he was getting in touch with you.
Yep, he did. A couple have asked for advice. Yep.
That's good.
But not that many. Not as many as you would think.
the Rockfin platform, how do you see that as the future of sort of streaming? Because, it's a better system. Like you said, you get rewarded, with the tokens. There's a lot of different ways you can use them. Do you think that's, maybe the future instead of, say, a YouTube? I know YouTube will probably never go away, but you are seeing people move over to different platforms now with a lot of the censorship.
Yeah, I think that it compensates its content creators better than anyone else does in a more fair and equitable manner. And I think that's kind of what's going to win people over, and not everyone understands it yet. But I think it's coming more and more to the forefront. And I know, I've been putting a lot of vlogs up there for the Jake Paul fight, and I've had quite a few people reach out and they are interested in it. So yeah, it's going in a really positive direction.
It seems like even since the last time we spoke, a lot more fighters are going to that platform. I know John Fitch is on there. You've got Chael Sonnen. Like it's getting bigger and bigger. Do you notice that people are starting to take notice of it?
Well, I think I follow the dashboard, the Rockman dashboard, and yes, it's was kind of plateaued the last month, but prior to the last month, there'd been about 5 really strong months. Yeah, let's say September was strong, and then September, October was kind of slow, but then since October, it's been November, December, January, February were all really strong months. March was kind of slow, so we'll see where we can move from here.
Before we go, I mentioned the MMA community. How's the boxing community treated you? Because again, I sort of more follow the MMA stuff. Do you get boxers reaching out, saying like, "Hey, go kill this kid" or anything like that? How's that been?
Yeah, I don't think anyone likes Jake Paul. None of the communities.
Yeah, it speaks more to him than anything. Well, that's good, man. Ben, thanks so much for doing this, man. I know you got a fight next week. Anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors? Any social media? I'll give you the last word.
Follow me on Ben Askren, Instagram and Twitter, the main places I post.